Dystopia warning. As you might be aware, it's the final day of the Conservative Party conference. And I'm afraid I've got some breaking news to bring you. News that some people might find distressing. I know I personally found it to be very distressing. And the details are sketchy because it's breaking news, but I'm hearing from a few credible sources that apparently the conference hasn't set on fire. And that everyone is safe and well. I know. Heartbreaking, isn't it? There was a bit of hope last night when eyewitnesses saw plumes of smoke coming from the back of the conference centre, but that was just a bunch of changed up young Conservatives burning £50 notes in front of homeless people. You know, standard Conservative conference stuff. Now, there might be a few people that take umbrage to that joke, but I've got two words for them, and they're not the two words that you might expect. The first word is Partygate, and the second word is Grenfell, and when charges are brought for both of those criminal acts, I might reconsider my attitude towards the Conservative government. Well, might stop wishing the worst for them. Well, so it was the Conservative Party Conference 2023, and I can honestly say, hand on heart, that I've never witnessed anything so dreadful, and bear in mind that I once saw a woman, as I was walking through Braintree Town Centre, pull down her trousers and shit in a bin. Imagine the worst, thickest, least self-aware person you know, and imagine loads of them in control of a country. That's what it was. It was like a group of coked up spads got together at 4 a.m. and decided the theme for this year was madness. I'm not going to dwell too much on what they did, because what they did was insane. I'm a bit more interested in why they did it, because I don't want to justify or offer any legitimacy to any of the things that they did. But as a brief rundown, I have to say one of the most insane parts was when Mark Harper contradicted the Levelling Up Department's own guidance on 15-minute cities and started trying to offer legitimacy to a far-right conspiracy. A conspiracy that came about around the time of anti-vaxxers and COVID, deniers, which is still going strong apparently. His suggestion was that councils will start telling people when and where they can shop. What?
Nobody is proposing that they'll dictate whether you have to go within 15 minutes. They're saying, wouldn't it be nice if you could get to a shop within 15 minutes? You're not disagreeing with that. Labour are not disagreeing with that. There's no argument over that. No one is saying you have to go to the shop on a Tuesday morning and your shift is this and you can't go to that one. That's just not on the agenda.
So why might a Conservative government want to make people believe in a conspiracy? Think about what a 15-minute city might do. I'm neither here nor there on them, by the way. Might bring people together in their communities. And what do people together in communities do? They tend to not other each other. They tend to not be racist because they get to interact with a vast variety of people and get to know them. And what might those people realise in those communities? That they've got no public services. They might want to band together. That's the last thing the Conservative government wants. In other crazy news, Nigel Farage was hanging around the conference like a dank fart, wasn't he? And both Rishi Sunak and giant baby Tom Tugendhat suggested that he could be let back in the Conservative Party. Wow. Claire Coutinho, the Secretary for Insanity, Madness and Climate Change Denial, was caught lying, claiming that Keir Starmer's going to bring in a meat tax. Why are they so obsessed with meat? So first off, they claimed there was going to be a meat tax, then they claimed they were going to scrap it, then they claimed Keir Starmer was going to implement it, and then when caught lying on it by a journalist, she doubled down and continued the lie.
Is actually
proposing a meat tax.
The point is actually very serious. So some of the things that Labour are proposing are incredibly hard for working families. So whether you have things like
meat tax, that's what you're saying here.
Well, but then that was the general theme of the entire conference. They let rejected Madame Tussauds waxwork Liz Truss go on stage, deliver a speech to people in the crowd that included Nigel Farage, Priti Patel, and the most insane factions of the Conservative Party. I'm not even convinced she's real anymore. No one else alive has ever lacked shame to the extent that she lacks shame. I'm convinced that she's hollowed out, and inside her, there's just two tiny little robots that work for Tufton Street, moving around her limbs. If there was a second theme for this conference, it would be division. It was like watching a conference for 5 different political parties, unfortunately all of those political parties being fully fascist. It was like an amalgamation of UKIP, National Front, BNP. You had former ministers, a former Prime Minister praising GB News.
We need more GB News, challenging the orthodoxy, broadcasting common sense.
The same week that they were engulfed in a misogyny scandal, and in the same week that it was revealed that they have multiple investigations into their conduct.
How many active investigations have you currently got going into GB News?
We have, at the moment, 12 active investigations into various programmes.
Trust Truss spoke about unleashing your inner Conservative. Now you're right, mate. Killing the elderly, assaulting junior staff members, tanking the economy, starving kids, not really my cup of tea. Then you've got the Conservative candidate for mayor, Susan Hall, doddering around like a confused elderly racist relative, casting very racist aspersions towards Sadiq Khan, and forgetting which political party she represents. And on and on and on and on it went. So why were they doing it? Well, as we found from the National Conservatism Conference last year, the speeches from different factions like the Conservative Democratic Organisation, those people the other day that released those very timely and damaging WhatsApps about Rishi Sunak, the people that peddle conspiracy. Ultimately, they know their time is up. They know that they've got no record in power of tangible benefits that they've offered to any of the British population. They know that generally they can only win elections by conning people. So they're focusing on these little wedge issues that they know rile people up, like ULEZ, classic example. They don't have any intention of implementing any type of policy that will benefit Britain, as is evident from the scrapping of HS2 between Birmingham and Manchester, whilst in a former train station in Manchester. They're con men. They're just saying what it takes to try and get the ball over the line, and the way in which they're getting the ball over the line is through a number of routes, and all of them are deeply concerning. There's the post-truth element, right? Where they repeat a lie so frequently that people start to believe it and repeat it as if it's true. Just look at the whole, they're all the same. Seeded by the Conservative Party, because they don't want you to see a distinction between them and the better alternative in Labour. There's the conspiracy route. They know that people that follow conspiracy will believe anything, and they'll also follow their leaders like lemmings off a cliff. It's a way for them to control people. And isn't it ironic that those people that believe conspiracies think that there's some kind of global elite out to control them? Newsflash, this is the global elite, and they're doing it in plain sight. And there's also the gaslighting, the brainwashing, the fact that they've got infinite money, infinite power, infinite contacts in the press that can repeat all of this nonsense and make people believe lies. It's a formula that's worked very well for them so far, because despite being the worst government in British history, they face very little scrutiny. Now, people go around claiming that because they support this government, that they're patriots. They claim that the Conservatives are patriots. The Conservatives themselves call themselves patriots. When they're spouting the kind of racist, divisive, dehumanising rhetoric used in Germany in the 1930s, when people lost their lives in the world wars fighting against fascism, how dare they? Real patriots want nothing to do with this lot. There's nothing patriotic about being racist against immigrants and asylum seekers. Yet Braverman and Sunak stood up on a stage and talked about how they were the children of immigrants, wanting a better life. Do you want to know who else wants a better life? Those poor, lifeless souls washed up on beaches that are forced into dinghies because this lot refused to provide safe routes. People that are dehumanised and othered by this government in their weaponised racism. They also target the disabled. They also target trans people. You don't have to look too far back in history to see who capitalised on dehumanising people. So in summary, we have a government that's spreading conspiracy theory, spreading lies, and I have to admit, for the first time in a long time, I really struggled to satirise all this, because it was so disturbing it put a knot in my stomach, and I thought, are they going to do this? Are they going to try and win an election based on peddling conspiracy theories? And the answer is yes. These people are fucking monsters, mate. Criminals, And the next election's going to be a fight of good against evil. It's going to be about survival. Because if they get in again, it's game over. Use your vote to get them out.